surrounded by everyone. ZhuXian true man's complexion had improved slightly by now. However, the toxicity of the seven-tailed centipede was severe, and faint traces of black gas could be seen on his face. Despite this, his consciousness remained clear. Taking a deep breath, he said, "Quick, capture this villain and interrogate him thoroughly." Qingyun Sect turned his head and said, "Brother, rest assured, I'm here." ZhuXian true man breathed heavily, feeling relieved to some extent, nodding towards him, about to say, then ... double quotes. His voice suddenly stopped, as Qingyun Sect's face before him suddenly changed from anxious to ferocious, almost simultaneously. ZhuXian true man's heart sank as intense pain struck him. His body shook violently, and the spiritual energy that had been suppressing the poison in his right hand was covered in numerous blood stains, and fresh red blood dripped slowly from the blade onto the blue bricks of the hole. The chaotic crowd suddenly fell silent, as if in deathly silence. Taoist ZhuXian's dark green Taoist robe had turned a deep shade at the abdomen in the blink of an eye. His complexion had instantly paled to an extreme degree. However, the astonishment on his face far outweighed the pain in his body at this moment. What are you doing? His voice hoarse, he directed the question, representing the doubts of everyone present, toward Qingyun Taoist standing at the entrance of the main hall. At this moment, even disciples like Qi Hao and Lin Jingyu from the Dragon Head Peak could hardly believe their eyes. They all stared wide-eyed, mouths agape, at the figure who once held significant power on Qingyun Mountain. Me? Qingyun Taoist suddenly seemed like a different person, laughing wildly. "I am plotting against you. Can't you see?" With a gesture, the seven-tailed centipede in midair flew toward him and disappeared into his sleeve in an instant. Qi Hao couldn't restrain himself any longer, his voice filled with confusion and horror. He exclaimed, "Master, have you gone mad?" Qingyun Taoist glanced at him, then his gaze fell on Lin Jingyu, who stood beside Qi Hao with an expression almost identical to his. More disciples from the Dragon Head Peak and even those from other branches of Qingyun were looking at him with disbelief, as if they were seeing a lunatic. "Ha ha ha, gone mad? Yes, I have been mad for a long time." Qingyun Taoist laughed uproariously, his demeanor seemingly tinged with madness. "Ever since 100 years ago, right here in the Yuking Hall, when I witnessed the fate of Senior Wenjian, I've been mad." Master, Qi Hao and Lin Jingyu from the Dragon Head Peak sounded almost tearful at this moment. But behind them, the elder surrounding Taoist ZhuXian suddenly stiffened. Wenjian, the name that seemed to carry a nightmare, cast a heavy shadow over Qingyun Mountain. Taoist ZhuXian's eye twitched. This was a name that had never been dared to be mentioned in front of him for 100 years. It seemed to stir something deep within him. Xiao Yu gently supported him, but to his surprise, he found that Taoist ZhuXian's injured body suddenly trembled violently. Even through the layer of his robe, he could feel the burning flames erupting within his mentor's body, scorching hot. Qingyun Taoist stood there in a frenzy, as if the accumulated grievances of many years had finally burst out. For a moment, no one dared to step forward to apprehend the perpetrator who had injured the supreme elder of Qingyun Mountain. He pointed at Taoist ZhuXian, then gestured toward the 3 Qingyun statues behind the crowd, shrouded in shadows, and said loudly, "You, all of you." He pointed towards Tiabai, Shiyu, Zhang Xiaofan, Shang Jingliang, and other Qingyun elders. "Tell me with your conscience, who should sit in the position of the sect leader? Is it the former senior Wan or him?" No one answered. The young disciples were at a loss, but Tia Bai and the others remained silent, their faces grim. In the main hall, only Qingyun Taoist's mad laughter echoed. "Why are you all speechless now? Do you feel guilty? Ha ha ha, yes. Indeed, who doesn't know what should be done? But who is sitting in that position now?" Shu Yu's face turned pale as she looked at Qingyun, who seemed entirely different from usual, and said slowly, "Senior Qingyun, it's been over 100 years since those events. Why be so obsessed?" Pa, Qingyun Taoist, disregarding his own status, spat disdainfully, his face full of scorn. "Over 100 years. Yes, I've endured it for over 100 years, only to have the chance today to avenge Senior Wan during the savage expedition of Qingyun. You. He pointed one by one, including Tia Bai, Zhang Xiaofan, Shang Jingliang, and sneered, "For 100 years, you've been comfortable as elders. But do you remember how Senior Wen risked everything to save our lives? Do you remember who generously shared his insights on cultivation, allowing us to advance? And you, he suddenly pointed at Shiyu, his tongue cold. You just said I'm obsessed. Hey, who doesn't know that you secretly loved Senior Wen, and he later saved and loved you, unexpectedly, when he needed help. You stood by and mocked me. Shu Yu's face turned ashen. And you, Tia Bai, as if wanting to vent all his grievances. King Song Daoist laughed wildly, pointing at Tia Bai and shouting loudly, "Tell me, how did Senior Wen treat you, and how did you repay him?" Tia Bai's face turned grim, his fists clenched tightly. Standing beside him, his wife, So Are You, was equally pale. However, neither of them uttered a word, allowing King Song Daoist to accuse them loudly. You were just an ordinary disciple under the great bamboo peak. Even your master and senior brothers looked down on you. But after Senior Wen met you, he recognized your talent and cultivated you diligently. Not only did he share his cultivation insights with you, but he also recommended you to join the Savage Expedition. It's thanks to him that you became a prominent figure in Qingyun. Is what I said true? Tia Bai took a deep breath, his face showing a hint of pain. It took him a while to say slowly, Senior Wen treated me with deep kindness, and I can never repay him even if I sacrificed my life.